Marsh. Just when his heart had begun singing, joy had tripped heels over head. Abandonment by family and clan crashed again upon the shoals of memory, weighting his feet. He felt as graceless as a hippo.
"Let me give you some advice, stranger,"
A deep, groggy voice echoed out of nowhere, perhaps from the depth of the marsh.
"Here, here,"
the voice declaimed, commanding Rowan's attention.
"right here on the rock, in the midst of this idyllic pond, framed by the grace of these primeval mountains. Look, here!"
There, indeed, was a welcoming clear pond. Once Rowan located the rock, he noted, in this order, it was handsomely bordered by perfectly straight chartreuse rushes. The rock sported a subtly asymmetrical pattern of darker green mosses and yellow and silver lichens. A ceanothus with pale blue blossoms curved lithely over it, framing an overhang of the rock, at the very tip of which sat, perfectly camouflaged, a perfectly ordinary gray-green bullfrog.
"Yes, isn't it all gorgeous?" the frog demanded,
once Rowan's eyes settled on him.
"I can tell you are a soul of empathic resonance. How delicately your eyes alighted on each element of the scene, how your breath quivered with each new revelation, until you were stunned al finale by the éclat of the entire vignette."
During those 5 sentences, the frog's eyes shifted from a raised-brow assessment of the elf to his own reflection in the water. 5 times.
"It has taken years to bring all the elements into perfect harmony. I knew one day a stranger would approach from precisely the position in which you are standing, and would recognize it immediately as the home for which his heart has always yearned. Now, don't misunderstand," he hissed sharply. "I'm not in real estate. Your soul is quivering in ecstasy. No need to deny it. Sensitivity is scrawled plain in every wrinkle of your ancient face."
With a soft gulp, the frog added sotto voce,
"Though your wardrobe needs a makeover."
Rowan, as a stranger in need of guidance, could not afford to take offense.
"Be clear. I am not giving you my place. Not at all. It is exactly where you're standing that is available. This would be the view to roust you cheerfully each morning and soothe you graciously at day's end. I can't tell you what fights I've had with the neighbours who have tried to encroach on it all these years of your absence. Now, drop your pack and freshen up. I'll swim on over and give you a tour."
"That's very thoughtful of you," Rowan began, but the frog was too low beneath the surface to hear. It hopped out of the pond just in front of Rowan, still dripping, when it ordered,
"Don't just stand there. Freshen up. Really, you look a fright from all your travels. You wouldn't want to give the neighbours the impression that I've invited any stray to settle in."
"I'm touched by your recognition of my aesthetic sensibility, but—" The frog cut Rowan off.
"I wasn't raised in a swamp, you know. I can discern integrity and breeding beneath the most battered visage."
Sotto voce again.
"And there's not a lot of integrity and breeding in this voisinage, if you catch my drift. Although there's plenty of indiscriminate breeding with a small b. Now, let's proceed with the inspection. Here, of course."
And the frog turned around to stand beside Rowan, facing the pond.
is the view that must be maximized.
I must, Rowan began, turning to skirt the pond.
Why, of course you must have your bed there, facing into the sunrise, to greet the day face on, with enthusiasm and welcome. It's essential to the soul.
Sotto voce.
We are shy on that sort of substantiality here as well. But now there is I and you here. That's all different.
Your kind company is— Rowan was bowing toward the frog to acknowledge his departure.
Tush, tush, the frog cut in again. We are like old friends already. Yes, this is the breakfast area, where we shall have our daily tete-a-tetes to plan our day's adventures.
Going, Rowan stammered. I must be going.
Oh, come now, my friend. Why run off? Your skin is as droopy and grizzled as mine. Without those years behind us, we'd not have our incomparable wisdom and aesthetic. It's time to rest and enjoy our remaining days. I'll regale you with the details of my transformation. Who would know better about transformation than a frog? Attaining the perfection of this form took years, and then the amorous times, a teasing pause, a coy glance. Oh, the fights and embraces! And I'm sure you have stories to fill the rest of our days together, while we bask in the sun on the lanai. This glen is the perfect retirement spot. Mellow winters for tired bones, protected by the mountains to the north from cold winds, and all this water warmed by the wide shallow bed of a gentle creek. There's no need for me to congregate with a bunch of slimy toads. His voice rasped over the word. To keep warm, as in the ponds of my youth. Now, lay down your walking stick. Some long winter night we'll sit by its embers, remembering when and how.
My dear frog friend, Rowan broke in when the amphibian paused for breath, since you have no ears, I can excuse that you haven't heard what I said.
Frombandiere, the frog interrupted. Of the Frombandiers of Upper Apple Blossom Creek, you know. You don't know it?
He interpreted Rowan's hapless stare. Sotto voce.
It is referred to commonly as Hardscrabble Creek. Still not?
Turning conversational again.
Well, you must have come from far away, then.
Rowan, the polite guest, rolled only his inner eye.
The Frombandiers landed in Acadia directly from the Dordogne, taken as tadpoles and jumping out of captivity almost immediately upon arrival. They have gradually migrated west, leaving small enclaves along the way. Perhaps one day we should visit some of the cousins, though they do have a hard time of it here, since the rabble are nearly inescapable in this primitive land. Oh, for the estates of La Patrie!
He paused to honor the reminiscence of a place he had never seen.
Frombandiere, I was saying. Godfrey Frombandiere. The locals referred to me as God, though they never address me directly. But please, call me Gaudy, as the family always have.
Without a pause, the frog cast an indignant glance at Rowan, which morphed into impatience.
As to my capacities, I don't need any appendages to hear what matters. In fact, the discs behind my eyes are sensitive below and beyond the range of any infatuated mockingbird's voice. Yet my compositions never demand of the performer even half the range of my 5-octave orality.
Then, looking intently at Rowan,
I assume that a creature of your cultural achievement sings?
Rowan nodded, and for a distracted moment believed he was being asked to perform some of his songs.
There's a lovely cycle of duets I've been composing for us. I sing basso, of course, and fortunately you are a tenor. I can help you extend your falsetto, because there are places that require coloratura to complete the chiaroscuro of the works. Nothing monumental, of course. Sotto voce once more. Though once you've mastered it, I'll complete a larger work that I've been sketching for us.
Gaudy, then, Rowan began, having turned full face to his self-appointed host, I appreciate the scope of your refinement, and am flattered to find myself worthy of such a friendship, but I am on a mission. Before the frog could react to the news, Rowan added, I've been following my creek downstream even as it became the river. I can only stay if the river ends here, for I must follow it to its finale, as you would say. The frog's illusion dissolved into the swamp. His heart pounded with anguish. The reeds behind his rock sagged dejectedly in sympathy. Looking down his bumpy nose, he said with great precision,
It goes beyond that marsh.
He pronounced the last two words with such disdain that the sedge grasses on its fringe blanched and went limp with shame.
Ages ago I swam through it on my mission, which brought me to this hauntingly beautiful sight.
Sotto voce,
My stomach turns, remembering my desperation to pass beyond that slime.
Methinks, Rowan observed, that you are an endangered species living in a fragile ecologenous zone. Then he added, with all the kindness he could muster, though it felt gritty on his tongue, I'm sure the perfect stranger shall arrive one day. However far I have come, I still have far to go to achieve the perfection your pond deserves. Then, more personally, you have created a most adorable setting for yourself. May you find contentment here for many years. With a bow befitting his effete host, Rowan backed away toward the rivulet that fed the pond. He waded across it to reach the far side of the pond. Perhaps he had at last come round the end of the marsh.